This is not about vacationing. You can't find your personal leadership point by vacationing. It is you making the active choice to be a leader. It is not about therapy. I don't believe in therapy. Marinating about the past doesn't help you define your future. This is about defining your future, not an inventory of what you've done. So, what I'm going to do today is be a personal arsonist of your change. I'm going to set you alight. Because if you're not alight with the change your potential, how can anyone else change you? No one else can change you but you. It's your responsibility to make the difference. So here's the really simple idea to kick it all off. You're unique. There's only one of you made. Scary stuff, isn't it? There really is only one of you made. And each of us has our unique purpose, our unique talents. And the question always is, have you reached the summit of your talents? And are you applying them to the richness that you can? That's the question of leadership. So, do you want to be part of the herd? Herds are nice, they're comfortable, warm, but eventually you will be eaten by a lion. So do you really want to be part of the herd? Because here's the truth. Greatness, true greatness, not mediocrity, greatness is only 2 millimeters away. It's only a 2% change, a 2% change in you. It is the difference between making small patterns of change. It is a slender of change. What is the difference between the person who gets gold at the Olympics versus silver? Think of a swimmer. It's probably 1, maybe 2 strokes. That's it. Everybody knows who got gold. Their mum knows who got silver. It's that slither between exceptional and average. And you can make that leap today. Because leadership is a choice. It is fundamentally a choice. It's not a thing you read about. It's a choice, a statement, a personal stake you put in the ground to move people around you, move the system, and know what you're about, because we're all different. But let's think about what it means. Personal change, organizational change, society change. All change is really simple to understand. It is the process of becoming something different. It is the process. You want to run a marathon, you buy a pair of shoes, and you have to start walking and then potentially running a bit further every day. It's a process. All change is a process. The question always is, do you have the right process? Because if you're not seeing results, it's the wrong way of doing it. And when you think about all change, personal change, your leadership change, finding your purpose, it is about understanding your existing patterns, what you do, and creating new ones that are more powerful and empowering. Because that is how you create change. We are victims or liberated by the patterns we embrace. And that's how you understand your own personal purpose. What are your patterns? We all have them, functional and dysfunctional. The question is, do they empower you or disempower you? So what I'm going to be talking about is 3 things and 3 things only. I'm going to talk about personal purpose, leadership purpose, and to your unique contribution, because it's about your uniqueness, not your blandness, your uniqueness. And I'm going to be talking about your leadership story. What is your leadership story today? So let's talk with purpose. If you look at all the literature, what people seek from leaders is, where are we going? Where are we going? Why should I believe you? Why should I believe you? Why should I follow you? And if you don't know where you're going, you will have no followers. Great movements start with people who they can believe in. Why? Because if you inspire others. Think about it. What is your direction, your purpose? Leaders without a clear sense, just like Sam was saying, a core sense of their own purpose, fall down very quickly. Let's be honest. A leader without followers is just a crank with an idea. Let's be honest about this. So, what is the fundamental core of all purpose? All leadership purpose. It is passion. What are your passions? Truly, your passions. And it doesn't matter to be about professional, personal passions. It could be a family, community. It doesn't really matter what those are. But what is the sum of all of your passions? Now, if you have no passions, If you have no passions, we will give you therapy. But the reality is this. Your personal purpose is the sum of all of your passions that make you up who you are, uniquely who you are. So have you ever written them down? All of them. Because if you've never written them down, how do you know truly what they are? Or does it evaporate in your mind? Because if you add to, you think of your list of your passions and think about those passions, then you can think about what your dreams are. What are dreams? Dreams are only a future, an aspiration of a future state, an aspiration of a future state of you. Who do you wish to be? Aspirations of a future state. Those are your dreams and aspirations. And now you've got the magic of what is purpose. And most people, adults, when you've actually done this, you ask adults, what are your dreams? What are your aspirations of a future you? You give them a completely blank canvas, and they do this. Well, I think it is to get a promotion to this job. If you ask children, they give you a colorful array of what they are capable of. So what I want you to do is put on your spandex pants. Put on your spandex pants, and I want you to go out and get your Las Vegas buffet of dreams. I mean, literally, gorge yourself. And you know you're going to go to every single station and take too much. And you know you're going to take some broccoli just because you think you should, although you'll never touch it. And you know you're going to have room for dessert. But gorge yourself in your dreams. What is the totality? If you only realize 20% of your dreams, you are still realizing 20% more than everybody else. What's the difference between average and greatness? 2%. So when you think about your dreams, here's one way to think about it. Put them into 5 buckets. What is your leadership goal? I don't mean leadership as a role or a title. That's not leadership. It could be leadership in your community, leadership in your family even. What is your personal growth goal? Who do you want to be in 7 years? Your body changes every cell every 7 years. What do you want that person to look like, feel like? Who do you want to be known as in 7 years' time? What is your financial rewards? It's a real question. What do you want to earn in X date? And contribution. What do you want to contribute to others? All great leaders are what they give to others. It's not about their egotism. It's about what they give to others. Now, for those people realizing that, there's only 4 statements. And it says 5. Where dreams become unhinged is because no one actually thinks about what their dreams are regarding fears. Fears are the dead weight that hold you back in achieving all of those things because it's those seeds of doubt. What are fears? What are all fears? Fears are very simple. Fears are past experiences constraining the present. It is what you did before, and in this reaction, in this moment, it is what you do now. Based on that, you're like a machine. That's how I did it before. This is how I'm going to do it today. And that's how we're going to act. Never thinking to stop. Do I actually have to react that way? That's all fears are. Think about them. Fears sink dreams. Fears sink dreams. Any doubts you have, gnawing doubts, they will attack and erode your dreams. Aspirations of a future state. So the best way you can overcome fears is have them as a part of your purpose, your goals. Write them out as goals. What fears do I have about myself? I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm liked enough. Whatever it may be. And think about overcoming them. Because it's all a question of perspective. Fears are a question of perspective. How big the threat truly is. Let me give you a personal experience. I used to be really, 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 really claustrophobic. Didn't like crowds, didn't like tight spaces, didn't like any of that things. So what I did was this, okay, so someone who's claustrophobic, what would be the most stupidest things someone could possibly do? Let's come up with a list of a list of really stupid things someone who's claustrophobic could do. Really stupid things. So I think step 3 on my list was going great white shark diving in South Africa. So you get in like a cage about the size of a coffin. There's no cello music. And these big animals, and you sit in there and they charge at you and bite the cage and all that kind of stuff. I went down 5 times. And I thought, if I can do that, and I survived, I'll take up the next ladder on my list, which was actually caving. Anyone know what caving is? It's like climbing, but inside caves and stuff. I was lubricated in my own sweat. But I did it, and I must confess, I'm no longer claustrophobic. Went through my list. So when you think about it, what is the core of purpose? It is the sum of your passions, the dreams, the aspirations of a future state, and the actions you take to achieve those goals. The actions you take to achieve those goals. Because without those actions, it's just a talking shop. Just a talking shop. So, one thing I want you to think about this weekend is, what is your personal vision statement for yourself? Do you have one? Anyone have one in the room? Interesting. There's a 2% margin of success. Think about it. What are the 15 words in which you are going to rock our worlds? What are you going to be known as, aspire to be within a 5-year period? Because that is your vision for how you impact others. Write one. Doesn't matter if it's wrong or right. Just write one. See if the words resonate with your soul. And the easiest way to do this is go to the dollar store. Buy a notebook and write it down. If you write things down, you codify them with yourself. You're able to see, does that make sense for me today? Does it actually make sense? Can I change it? If you really want to take this up another notch, write it down, print it out, and put it up on your bathroom mirror. And every morning, you're challenged with a vision you've defined for yourself. Because it'll become embedded within your soul and how you think about the day. Today, am I achieving what I wanted to achieve? So, we're going to move on to the question of magnetism. Great leaders are charismatic. What is charisma? It's basically magnetism, isn't it? You feel drawn to that person. Whoever they are, you feel drawn to them. So if you think about magnetism, what is it then? It really comes down to the question of contribution. Contribution. People who are magnetic give to others, their time, their mentors, their leaders who actually give to others, whoever that may be, you define it, but it's that sense of what you give, not what you receive. What is your sense of contribution? So what's yours? What is your unique sense of contribution? Because it is yours. It's not generic. It doesn't come out of a box. So, this is where I'm going to dissent from some of the opinions today. I do not believe there is such a thing as a leader for all seasons. I really don't believe that. It depends what the needs of the organization is, the group of people at that time. Some people are visionaries, they're innovators. Some people are strategists, able to take visions and turn them into plans. Some people are just people who can get stuff done. They're the craftspeople that turn dreams into reality. They're the builders of organizations. And some people are the sustainers that get stability to build even bigger things. It doesn't mean one is wrong or right. It just means they're different. Great organizations need all to thrive. The question is, which one are you? Some people are a mix of some things, but nobody is everything. No one is everything, because that's a recipe for average. So when you think about it, what is your unique profile? How do you define it? Have you written it down? Does it make sense? Or are you forced to do something you're really not? I'm a sustainer, but I'm in a strategist role, or vice versa. It depends on you to define your unique talents and capabilities. Because square pegs end up with large hammers hitting them. Do you really want to be hit by a hammer as a leader? Think about where you best fit into an organization. Now, one way to think about this, and a great way to think about and decode this, is to think about being memorable. I'll tell you, most people are highly forgettable. It's the truth. You probably met some people today and you couldn't even remember the name, let alone anything about them. Why? Same is true of interviews. Same is true of many things. Why? Because this question, I'm always amazed that it's being asked in interviews all the time. Tell us something about yourself. And people go, me? Yes, about you. This is a curveball. Well, you are the only one there, technically. Surely you should be able to tell us something about yourself. So this is what most people do. And if you actually want to know, about 80% of the population then answer that question as a leader, as that person like this. Here it is very simple. There's impacted experience. 80% of the population ask it as a series of skills. Tell me about yourself. Well, I can tie my shoes. I choose my own socks. I project manage my outfit. You know, I brush my teeth. They have all these skills. I went to this school where I taught me how to, like, you know, make pies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 80% of the population ask people this question, respond in this way. Now, I'm going to ask you the question back. Name one skill that isn't a commodity, that I could not buy off the street. All skills are commodities. All skills are commodities. They have a price tag on them, don't they? Think about it. What you're doing by describing yourself as a basket of skills is basically a supermarket trolley with all these things in it. And I'm a tin of beans. I'm a loaf of bread. I'm this, that, the other. That's what I am. I'm just a supermarket trolley. And I'm only better than that one filled up with that stuff. So what you're really saying, and why you are forgettable if you use this approach, is that your skills, the net of all of your skills, has a price tag. That's the limit and summit of your talents. If it's only skills. So if you think about it being more dynamic, and by the way, this is about 15% of the population. And then we use the thing about, they'll talk about roles. Roles. Oh, well, in this role, I successfully did all of these things. I tied my shoes, put my own shoes on, walked out the door, and in that role, I went back home again in that role. And the really interesting thing is it's really, really boring. It's boring to the listener. I dare you to listen to that and not tune out, because it's nothing to do with the needs of the listener. It's nothing to do with the needs of the listener to be inspired for them to think about, should they follow you? Should you be the leader they should follow? If you use that technique, you will be forgettable. You're a basket of skills or a series of roles, a regurgitation of your resume. What 5% of people do? 5% of leaders with the clarity of purpose, the clarity of their contribution, is they actually talk about themselves in fundamentally different ways. They talk about themselves not in roles and skills. They talk about it in terms of drivers. I am personally driven by A, B, and C. Interesting. Think about it. Suddenly you know, I'm personally driven to end homelessness. I'm personally driven to develop a digital company. I'm personally driven to X, Y, and Z. And it doesn't matter whether you believe it, you agree with it, or not. It doesn't matter if you don't come from that sector. You'll think, wow, they've got a sense of clarity of where they're going. Now, the cool thing is, with drivers, is you need no experience. Don't you? Do you need experience to be driven by something? If you actually read, I mean, someone mentioned earlier Nelson Mandela. At the beginning of his book, Long March to Freedom, he actually says at the very beginning, they're all sitting around a wooden table, and they say, this country's got to change. Okay, where's the app? He actually said, well, I'm personally driven to see that change happen. Did they have experience to do it? No. But they were driven to make that change. And a few humble people turned into a movement that changed the nation. That is drivers. No one talked about skills. Now, above drivers, this is something else. Again, the 2% here. This is the rocket fuel of purpose. They talk about their value. Value. What is the unique value you bring to others? So I believe, you can fill in the blanks, I believe the unique value I bring to an organization is this, this, and this. Remember, that's unique value, not generic value. The unique value I bring to an organization is A, B, and C. Wow. Think about this in your first 30 seconds. I believe that the unique value I bring to an organization is A, B, and C. Let me give you a short example of when I've done that, and a role I did do. But now I'll tell you why that's so important. It's because I was personally driven by this. And suddenly you've embraced and encapsulated your inspiration that moves you as a leader. And you are memorable. Memorable. So I ask you this question. What is your unique value? What is your unique value? We all have it. We've all gone to schools and all those crazy things, but there's something about you, the kernel inside of you, which is the differentiator, because that is the differentiator which is the greatest value to others, the true differentiator, not generic things, your differentiator. What is your unique value?